You are not your thoughts and feelings. I want to give you this example I give my clients. Imagine there's two guys. Guy number one thinks of himself as a really compassionate person and feels a lot of compassion. Really, as his empathy just aches through his whole body at all times. And he's walking down the street and he sees this homeless guy fall over, clearly collapsing for some reason. He's like, oh my God, my heart breaks for him. What a terrible life. Oh my God. I'm such a good person for caring so much. And he keeps walking. Guy number two. Guy number two thinks of himself as an asshole. He's mad at himself for being such a ruthless, callous bastard. He wishes that he just like could care more about other people and he just wasn't so selfish. And he feels really bad about himself for being such a dick all the time. And then he looks over and he sees this smelly, random homeless guy tip over. And without thinking, he rushes over to provide first aid care and try to help the guy out. So keep those two examples. Example A, the guy thinks himself as compassionate, walks past the collapsing homeless guy. Guy two thinks of himself as a, callous, selfish dickhead, but actually goes to help the guy who fell over. Which of them is actually compassionate? Take a moment. So this isn't a hypothetical question. This is about your beliefs. Which of those people is truly compassionate? If you had to pick just on that data alone, you had no other information. Well, because you're on the other side of this camera, I have no idea what you picked. But 100% of the time when I've run this experiment with my clients, every one of them says guy number two is the truly compassionate one, though they're very uncomfortable saying that. Now, why do we know that? Why do we know that guy number two, despite not thinking or feeling anything compassionate, is the really compassionate one? Because thoughts and feelings, it's not that they don't matter entirely, but they are clearly overridden in weight and value by behavior. As I said before, you are what you do. So if you can walk past somebody who's collapsed and clearly in crisis, and you just don't give a shit and you just move on with your day, it doesn't matter what thoughts or feelings you're having. You did not live by the value of compassion in that instance. Unless you're on your way to something even more compassionate, like you're a doctor rushing to a surgery on a child, then okay, but most of you aren't that, are you? And if you think of yourself in a certain way, but you notice that your behavior goes the other way, then your behavior is who you really are. So you might think of yourself as a terrible person. A lot of people have very negative self-worth. You might think of yourself as awful. But if I was to watch you act, would I consider you to be an awful person if that's all I knew is what you did? There are people out there who think of themselves as really productive, and yet they spend a lot of time doing fuck all or wasting time. There's others who feel like they don't do enough, and yet every move they make has a significant positive impact. Your thoughts and feelings are not feedback on who you are. They're just clouds in the sky. A lot of the time, they don't even make sense. A lot of the time, they're not related to any sort of logic or evidence whatsoever. You can feel guilty when you've done nothing wrong. You can feel afraid when there's no danger. You can feel angry when no boundaries have been crossed. You can feel sad when you haven't lost anything. You can have thoughts about being a bad person when you've behaved well all day. You can have thoughts about being a good person while sitting in prison for murder. Thoughts and feelings are mostly garbage. Really, they're mostly just noises, sensations, misinterpreted data. But your behavior, that's a clear black and white. You either did it or you did not do it. That's it. You don't have to obey your thoughts and feelings. You don't have to do what they say. They say you're a terrible person, doesn't mean you have to do terrible things. They say you're a good person, doesn't mean you get to take a break. Your behavior is the only thing that moves the world, has an impact, will be remembered. Nobody else knows what you're thinking and feeling. Even if you tell them, you can't be sure that you're saying it accurately or that they're interpreting you correctly. But when they see what you do, it's pretty hard evidence. They can still misinterpret that, don't get me wrong. They can add stories to it and so on. But you either did it or you did not do it. So if you want to be a more confident person, be a confident person. Don't worry about feeling it. Don't worry about thinking it. Do it. That's why I say the most powerful question for building confidence that you can ask yourself is, what would a confident person do right now? Whatever the answer to that question is, do it. I don't care if you don't feel like doing it. I don't care if your thoughts say this isn't good enough or that won't make a difference. Doesn't matter what your thoughts think of it. You're doing it or you're not doing it. In fact, you're not really going to have any sort of accurate thoughts or feelings about it until after it's done. Most of your thoughts and feelings are anticipatory. You're thinking about what could happen. You're measuring an imagined action, which is to say you're measuring thoughts. You're thinking about thoughts, feeling about feelings. It's nonsense. You want to find out if something's good or bad, go do the fucking thing and then have a think and a feel about it. You'll be way more accurate. And stop labeling yourself as something. I'm a vegan. Don't just say that you're a vegan. If you're a vegan, then don't harm things consistently. Behave in a way where the living creatures around you do really well. If you're doing that, then you don't even need to call yourself a vegan. You're just living by your values. If you're not doing that, then the label's a lie. Somebody says, "Oh, I'm a sports coach." Really? Are you coaching right now? When you're sitting on the toilet taking a dump, are you coaching? No, you're just a guy taking a dump. So let go of the label and the identity. Just focus on what you're doing. Push that dump out. I'm losing track of what I'm saying now.